Welcome. Tonight there's a talk on the Platform Sutra and a particular aspect of the Platform Sutra called non-abiding. I'm sure you're all familiar with the Platform Sutra, but there's a lot to say in a few words. Many of these words have very deep roots in Buddhism. And so oftentimes you'll hear a very short quote, and it has a lot to say. I will share this practice, how I use this practice in daily life, and how you may cultivate it as well. I hope that you can come away with a practical understanding of non-abiding and this, and have a practical use in your own daily life. I want to give a perspective on how important this Chan teaching is. Guagu gave us this class in 2017. It was a 6-part class. He said that if you were practicing Chan or Zen without understanding this text, you would not be practicing Chan or Zen. Even for people that have been studying with him for quite a number of years, that have you not really understood this practicing, this what the Platform Sutra has to say, you're really not practicing Chan. And the one that really caught my attention is when he said that this was perhaps the most important teaching that he'd ever given to us. I, like many of you, had read the Platform Sutra several times and thought I had some understanding. But I was very glad to hear, an example, a teaching from Guagu. And as he revealed the teaching, as we went through it and had our discussion, I realized that what I thought I knew was only, tip of the iceberg of what there was to be known. In fact, this opening to a greater understanding became a key part of my practice, to never really be settled with what I thought I knew, but to always be open for a little bit more. I'm going to start with a quote from the Platform Sutra that I'm sure you're all familiar with. And this will set the tone for the talk. Good friends, since the past, this teaching of ours has first taken non-thought as its central doctrine, the formless as its essence, and non-abiding as its fundamental. No thought, no form, non-abiding are considered the 3 gates of liberation. Tonight we'll talk about non-abiding. In this context, fundamental refers to our fundamental nature, our true nature. Also, non-abiding could be understood as not grasping or not clinging. You'll hear some of these words used interchangeably. I'm going to read 3 quotes, and then basically we're just going to talk off of that. Some of these quotes are from Huineng, some of the quotes are from Guagu, some of his teachings. But this first one's from Huineng. In each continuing moment of thought, do not dwell on previous thoughts. If you think about the previous thoughts, the present thought, and take up future thoughts, then your thoughts will continue without cease. This is bondage. If in each continuing moment of thoughts, you do not cling to anything at all, this is freedom from bondage. This is the meaning of not clinging or non-abiding. Non-abiding moment to moment, this freedom is our true nature. That's why it's called the fundamental. But what is that foundation? Here's another quote from Huineng. Freedom from clinging or non-abiding is the basic nature of human beings. In this world of good and evil, beauty and ugliness, enemies and friends, treat all of this as empty and harbor no thoughts either of delight or of revenge. Here's a recent quote from Guogu on non-abiding. And again, we're just trying to set the tone for what we're going to talk about. Non-abiding is relating to ourselves and others in an open and receptive way, where we allow everything to flow and recognize that each moment is alive, vibrant, and filled with infinite possibilities. This is a direct expression of natural awakening. For this reason, non-abiding is your fundamental nature, as Wang said. It is who we are, free from the internal shackles of thoughts and feelings and the external conditioning of form. So what are ways in which we can practice not abiding? How do we bring that into our daily lives? How would you recognize non-abiding in your practice, even right now? How do we non-abide? How is this that we can relate to others in an open and receptive way? And this in a natural, open and receptive way. What is it like to allow everything to flow and recognize each moment to be alive, vibrant, filled with infinite possibilities? How do we practice this? Well, we know that our body is our first place that we go. We first and always check in with our body. As Guogu teaches us, a relaxed body is the best way to relax the mind. As I often say, a tense body is a tense mind. So we relax our body. And this is ongoing throughout the day, no matter what you're doing, not just sitting. Checking in with the body, relaxing. Whether your practice is sitting, standing, walking, and doing your job, whatever it is you're doing. This is a core teaching that we've learned here, a relaxed body. If you are trying to get in touch with the embodied experience of something, whatever it is you're doing, if your body's not relaxed, you're not going to really embody that. You may think about it, you may have some really good idea, but to really feel it naturally, your body needs to be relaxed. You need to be grounded. If you're sitting, you're grounded, your buttocks. If you're standing, it's your feet. A relaxed body is primed for all of life in its activities. A relaxed body, but how do we prime our mind? How do we try to maintain an even mind? You'll often hear, maintain a sense of contentment, sense of peace or at ease. This is the correct attitude. But how can we naturally bring up this sense of peace without pretending? Without trying to tell yourself, oh, be peaceful, be peaceful. How can you really do this? One way, and this is one of these embedded teachings, is to look at one of the core teachings of the Buddha. And this is a teaching called the 3 Marks of Existence. I'm sure you've all heard this, especially once we talk about what the 3 are. What are the 3 marks of existence? Suffering, impermanence, and not self. Sometimes not self is called empty or emptiness. So let's look at suffering, impermanence, and not self. Now, each one of these, you could do a talk, someone could do a talk for some time on each one, because there's a lot to think about, a lot of ways to approach suffering, impermanence, and not self. But we'll talk about these briefly. What is a way of looking at suffering, or unsatisfactoriness? Well, conditioned things don't always work out the way that we expect them to. Things change. Things end. We may be doing something in life and it's going exactly the way we want, and then things change. Maybe we lose a job, or things change. They're no longer the way we are, but we've really built up this need for certainty, this need for security in life, and then we develop stress, suffering, uneasiness. We have an expectation for things to turn out a certain way often, and sometimes they don't, many times they don't. It turns out that this very expectation, this need for certainty, this need for control, this can create suffering in ourselves. Learning to recognize that, learning to acknowledge that as you go through your day. Oh, I'm creating this. This is a way of approaching suffering or unsatisfactoriness. The next is impermanence. What is impermanence? What's the ways of looking at impermanence? Well, nothing lasts forever. Things change. For things that we think have solidity, they still change. They become something else. But yet day to day, we expect them to stay the same. Everything ends, everything becomes something else. So when you are going about your day and things come up, there's a certain level of freedom or liberation that can come with understanding that things change. And lastly, we'll talk about not self, emptiness. We talk about not self. We're talking about no permanent or substantialness to something, whether it's this stick or myself or our family. Things you've heard the teaching of emptiness. I don't want to go into too much detail, but just some reminders. We say it has not self, or something is empty. What are we talking about? It's empty of a separate existence. Things are interconnected. And you take ourselves, for example. We are not who we were 5 years ago, 10 years ago. We have some things that continue, maybe our opinions, but hopefully we learn to begin to change those. We're not going to be the same in the future. Our friends, our spouses, our jobs, all of these things are interconnected. They affect one another through different conditions. We did not come from nothing. We're a product of our environment. We're a product of the things that we learn. And we continue to change. We become in each moment, by each condition, by each change. Everything exists in relation to other things. Nothing is of a single existing unconditioned thing. Everything is interdependent of other things. So I brought that up so if we kind of have, first you have an understanding of these, but as we practice this in daily life, as you're walking around, as you're doing what you're doing, you find yourself becoming affected by whatever it is. Look at these things. Am I creating suffering for myself because of expectations? Because I want it to be some other way than it is? That it is outside my control? And the way I thought something was, actually, it's not that way. The more we begin to experience these things through reflecting them, they become part of our second nature. A byproduct of that is it begins to change our attitude. This sense of peace, a sense of contentment flows naturally, or begins to. So, beginning with a relaxed body, beginning with this adjustment in attitude, this understanding, then we engage in life, engage in whatever it is we're doing. So really you're tying together three things: your body, your mind, your activity or method, if you want to call it a method if you're sitting. But being aware of our body, we can become grounded, less so much in our head. Being rooted in the body allows the experience of whatever we're doing to become part of us and becomes embodied. Being grounded, our normal train of runaway thoughts begins to diminish. Having this understanding of impermanence, especially, we recognize thoughts for what they are. Thoughts. Thoughts arise, exist for a while, and then pass. How long they exist depends on how long we attach to them. We don't have to do anything with thoughts, especially. They will pass if we don't make a big deal out of them. You'll recall many teachings from Gwaku about not reifying a situation, not reifying a thought, not making a big deal out of something. This is the essence of abiding or non-abiding. If we make a big deal of something, that is abiding. When we get stuck in these thoughts, our actions, we tend to get ourselves in trouble. This is where we begin to cause trouble for not only, or cause problems not only for ourselves, but for other folks. Reminding ourselves to come back to the body, check in with this developed attitude. We can bring all three things together: the body, the mind, the activity. And slowly we learned how to unify our mind, our body, and activity. For me, it helps to remember that when I get stuck on something, when I apply conditions to things, by conditions I mean I have a certain expectation. I want things to be other than they are. When I try to control things that I really can't control, I'm creating my own problems. I'm creating vexations. This is abiding. This is really all a product of a distracted mind. Reminding myself to relax. Know that these things are not what I may be thinking they may be. They, in fact, are impermanent. The more I get buried on an expectation, the more I'm creating suffering for myself. The more I reify things, the more I make them into a big deal. Well, that's just really a product of a distracted mind. Here's a quick quote from Waning. If one does not think of the 100 things, then thoughts will be completely eliminated. But what kind of thoughts are we talking about? The thoughts that'll be eliminated. These are the thoughts that are like vexed thoughts, troubling thoughts. We still think, we still have to do what we got to do. For those of you that don't know me, I have a construction business, mostly new construction. This is a very unpredictable business in terms of scheduling. There's no real calendar. I have to be ready to go sometimes with my crew of 6 to 8 people on 2 or 3 different jobs, sometimes one job, sometimes no job. And I have to balance having skilled people in the right place at the right time, the logistics of getting very expensive product that I have to pay for in advance to the right place at the right time. And I have to rely on people that are on the job. I can't watch them. We could have multiple jobs going on at the same time. So I very much live in the life of the problems with getting stuck, abiding, getting angry, overreacting. It's not efficient. It's not effective. It can drive business away. It can drive customers away. It can drive people away. That's not a good thing, obviously. Through this practice over the years, I have found it quite enjoyable to be in what some might consider just pure chaos. But I really don't find it that way. Not abiding in an open and receptive way. Not abiding is contentment, is peace. Non-grasping. So again, going back to my own personal example, I have to be open and receptive to many, many changes, not only with job site schedules, but with change orders, all sorts of things. My guys are highly trained. I've had guys, I've women, had all sorts of different folks working for me. So, but I have to rely on them. I have to rely on their skill set. And I give general directions. And sometimes, we'll talk. What do you think? What do you think? I have to be receptive. I have to be open to other opinions. I don't run it like you do this, you do this, you do this. It's not effective. It's not efficient, not with the multiple changes that we have, not with so many things going in so many different places. So I have to operate in an open and receptive way. So during the day, I try to stay with a relaxed body and an open mind. When things come up, I respond from this place. Even when difficult things come up, I expect difficulty. If I would hope that everything was going to be happy all the time, I suppose I'd have been out of business a long time ago. Things are going to be disappointing. Things are not going to work out. I expect that. When things don't work out, we have to respond in kind to make sure that they are as best as we can do. Here's a quote from Gwaku. The free flow of our mind is a wonderful dynamic activity of our creativity and intellect. So again, this is what we're talking about, the free flow. You can't get locked down. There's no need to stop thoughts. In other words, are thoughts that allow us to be efficient. At the same time, it is necessary to develop the ability to be free from thoughts. And again, free from what kind of thoughts? The ones that slow us down, the ones that are vexed, the ones that get us into trouble. It's been my experience, again, that when I open to things that are outside my control, like what people are doing on a job site, what their opinions are, the way they may see something needs to be done, that we actually get better as a crew. And it's also more fulfilling. They have a sense of freedom, a sense of choice. And it doesn't mean that just going with the flow, whatever happens, happen, let it happen. Does this mean not engaging? No. I do what must be done. I make the hard decisions. Sometimes I have to step in and make changes to what my crews might be doing on the job site. But I engage without vexations. Coming at someone full of anger and fury is never going to work. With this open and receptive mind, free from grasping, free from wanting to tightly control things, I engage with the world as it is. Its true suchness, its true nature. There's a quote in this regard. How do we contaminate forms and appearances? This is from Guogu. We defile them by attaching to them, reifying them as things out there. We make everything into a thing. Everything we touch can become a problem. If there's no reification, no grasping, then this is a manifestation of true suchness, which is the wonderful display of awakening. If there's grasping, self-referentiality, then there's delusion. What are some other things that we've heard in this regard? Oh, that's the way it is. It is what it is. Surely we've all heard something along these lines. It's not a new idea. However, the way we use it can be very different. Does not mean that you say, oh, that's how it is. It is passive resignation, like there's judgment, some dismissal, like you don't want to be bothered, like you're resigning yourself to misery. Like, whatever, dude. It's not this. Recall Guogu's teaching on it's all good. Now, this does not mean to be dismissive. Maybe you need to look into something that keeps coming up, something that keeps bothering you. Deep hurt, something that you can't let go of. Previously, we're talking about when you look at something from an aspect of being impermanent, that you're creating your own suffering, that things are actually a lot more interconnected than self-substantial. It becomes easy to let go of these things, but some things are deeply, deeply rooted. So this is when we investigate, reflect on these thoughts, these conditions. We can look at them through the aspect of suffering, impermanence, not self. Does this mean that we analyze things, weigh the pros and cons, think for hours on end? Not necessarily. But it can be to look at this moment with some reflection. In actuality, this moment right now can only be what it is. Now, again, you may want it to be different. You may say, I don't want it to be this way. I want it to be another way. But remember, this expectation creates our own suffering. But I don't want to be miserable. I want to be happy. Well, you're actually compounding the suffering. This contemplation or reflection of a moment can only be how it is at this present moment. Another way of looking at it is, well, how could it possibly be different? And actually, it's not going to be this way forever. So you reflect on the present as it is. It's not to be critical or judgmental of yourself. It's just to note this moment is how it is. I know I have a little bit of pain in my knee. It's always giving me problems. But it is what it is. Don't make a big deal out of it. Realize that thoughts are, as Gwagu often tells us, thoughts are just what they are. They're thoughts. They're not real. There's no substance to them. They have all the weight that we give them. They come and go. They're impermanent. Making our judgments or analysis real through continued thought, wanting them to change through thought, that's just suffering. Another quote from Gwagu: in the midst of thinking, with your thoughts, just allow thoughts to do what they do without reifying thoughts. So this, the way it is, it's all good. That's the suchness of things, the true suchness of things. This is actually non-abiding. This is the fundamental nature of our mind. A mind that doesn't get stuck, but engages. Quote from Waning: you should contemplate your minds and each see the fundamental nature. Now, using concepts and words like impermanence, not self, suffering, we don't use these to suppress the way that we're thinking. Saying, oh, it's impermanent, it's impermanent, it's impermanent, it's not self, it's not self, it's not self. It's not the point. That's just using thoughts to suppress thoughts. That's not really the way to work at it. But the more that we try to practice this, to see through conditions, see through our thoughts, we created that you begin to see this non-abiding mind. You're not holding on to something, some thought, some concept, some expectation. You begin to see through this illusion. You also begin, at some point, practice to see through the illusion that there's a self that's seeing through the illusion. Because really there's not a self that sees through the illusion. That self itself is an illusion. It's created in our own minds. I thought of an example last night that you can relate to in firstly conceptualizing non-abiding. You'll all recall perhaps The Wizard of Oz. And toward the end of the movie, where Dorothy has these ruby slippers, she's clicking these slippers together. There's no place like home, there's no place like home, there's no place like home. And then she wakes up out of her dream. Realizing where we abide, where we get stuck. because we've embodied this practice of impermanence. We've seen it daily in things that come up. We see how we create our suffering through expectations, or wanting things to not change, or wanting things to be different than they are. This is that same clicking together of your heels. But as you see through that more and more, you practice it. There's no need to say there's no place like home. You're already home. You're already free. You can see how this practice can work for you, no matter sitting, standing, lying, walking, doing your job. Fully engaged with others, at home, at school, on the job, in times of quiet, in times of chaos. Realizing this open and receptive mind, the free flow of everything, each moment, alive, filled with infinite possibilities. This is non-abiding. I'll leave you with 2 more quotes, and then we'll open up for questions. So what are we to do? What is the practice? This is from Guogu. Don't grasp, don't reject, engage. Allow your self nature to function freely without being caught up, without abiding. That's also wisdom. It's true suchness. And on slightly on the other side of that, the degree of suffering or discomfort we feel depends entirely on how attached we are to concepts, to ideas. When we attach, when we abide to them, we become puppets to them, and we obstruct our true nature of mind. Okay, well, we'll conclude here tonight. Thank you.